Long ago, as the Great Ice Age drew to a close, three brothers lived in a land of rugged beauty and ancient spirits. Sitka, the eldest and wisest, Denahi, the playful middle brother, and Kenai, the youngest, who was eager to prove his manhood. On this day, Kenai was to receive his totem, a carved stone representing the virtue he must live by to call himself a man. The tribe gathered as Tanama, the shaman, called upon the great spirits. Kenai hoped for the eagle of guidance or the wolf of wisdom, but when Tanana placed the totem in his hand, Kenai's face fell. It was the bear of love. "A bear?" Kenai scoffed. "Bears are thieves. They don't love. They're monsters." Tanana warned him that the spirits did not make mistakes, but Kenai was too stubborn to listen. His disappointment turned to anger when he discovered a bear had raided their fish supply because he hadn't tied the basket properly. Determined to prove his strength, Kenai set off alone to hunt the beast, ignored the protests of his brothers. He didn't want love, he wanted respect, and he thought he would find it at the tip of a spear. Kenai tracked the bear to the edge of a massive, crumbling glacier. The bear, a mother protecting her territory, turned to face him. Kenai was soon overwhelmed. Hearing his cries, Sitka and Denahi rushed to his aid. A desperate struggle ensued atop the treacherous ice. The bear was too powerful. Seeing his younger brothers in mortal danger, Sitka made a heartbreaking choice. He drove his spear into a deep crack in the glacier and signaled for his brothers to get back. With a final, loving look, Sitka plunged his spear down, shattering the ice shelf. The glacier groaned and collapsed, sending Sitka and the bear tumbling into the freezing torrents below. Kenai and Denahi watched in horror. When the mist cleared, there was no sign of the bear and no sign of Sitka. They found only his eagle totem washed up on the shore. Grief-stricken and blinded by guilt, Kenai blamed the bear for everything. He ignored Denahi's pleas for peace and vowed to hunt the creature down. He would have his revenge, no matter the cost. Kenai tracked the bear to the summit of a jagged mountain. The confrontation was brief and violent. With a final strike, Kenai took the bear's life. But as the creature fell, the sky erupted in a haunting celestial light. The great spirits descended, and among them was the shimmering form of an eagle, Sitka. The spirits swirled around Kenai in a vortex of magic. He felt his bones shift and his skin thicken. When the light faded, Kenai reached out his hand, only to see a massive furry paw. He had been transformed into the very thing he hated, a bear. Moments later, Denahi reached the summit. He saw Kenai's torn clothes and the bear standing over them. Believing this bear had killed his last remaining brother, Denahi took up his spear with a cry of rage. Kenai tried to speak, but only a roar came out. Terrified and confused, Kenai tumbled down the mountainside into the river below, escaping the brother who was now hunting him. Kenai awoke the next morning in a world that looked terrifyingly large. He was discovered by Tanana, who told him that to become human again, he must travel to the mountain where the lights touch the earth and ask Sitka's spirit to change him back. But Kenai didn't know the way. His luck changed when he got his foot caught in a human trap. A talkative, high-pitched voice chirped from the bushes. It was a bear cub named Koda. Koda was energetic, pint-sized, and separated from his mother. He offered Kenai a deal. If Kenai helped him get to the salmon run, Koda would show him the way to the mountain, which was right nearby. Kenai had no choice but to agree. As they began their trek, Kenai found Koda's endless chattering and fun facts about berries unbearable. However, Koda's innocence began to chip away at Kenai's hardened heart. For the first time, Kenai wasn't looking at a bear as a monster, but as a frightened child looking for his home. The journey was long and filled with narrow escapes. They hitched a ride on the backs of two dim-witted moose brothers, Rut and Took, and slowly, Kenai began to adapt to his bear body. He learned to play, to hunt for berries, and most importantly, he began to care for Koda. Eventually, they reached the Salmon Run, a paradise where dozens of bears gathered to feast and share stories. Kenai was terrified at first, seeing so many monsters in one place. But as he watched them, he saw them laughing, hugging, and caring for their young. They weren't the mindless killers he had imagined. They were a community. During the feast, Kenai found himself actually enjoying the company. He shared a bond with the other bears, feeling a sense of belonging he hadn't felt since Sitka died. However, the joy was short-lived. That night, the bears gathered to tell stories of their year. It was Koda's turn, and the story he told would change Kenai's life forever. Koda stood before the group and excitedly told the story of how he got separated from his mother. He described a brave struggle against men with sticks on a great glacier. As Koda spoke, Kenai's blood ran cold. The details matched perfectly. The glacier, the three brothers, the mother bear defending her cub. Kenai realized with a sickening jolt that the bear he had killed on the mountain was Koda's mother. The monster he had hunted for revenge was simply a mother trying to get back to her son. Overwhelmed by guilt, Kenai slipped away from the celebration. Koda followed him, sensing something was wrong. In a heart-wrenching moment on a snowy ledge, Kenai sat the cub down. "Koda," he whispered, his voice heavy with tears. "The man on the glacier, it was me." Koda didn't understand at first, but as the truth sank in, the cub's eyes filled with terror and heartbreak. Koda backed away, sobbing, and ran into the dark forest, leaving Kenai alone with the weight of his sins. Kenai knew there was only one thing left to do. He climbed the mountain where the lights touched the earth, desperate to find Sitka and make things right. But he wasn't alone. Denahi, driven by grief and a mistaken vow of vengeance, had tracked him to the peak. A fierce storm raged as brother fought brother. Denahi, seeing only the bear that killed his family, attacked with relentless fury. Kenai refused to fight back, only dodging and trying to pin Denahi down to show him the truth. Just as Denahi prepared for a fatal blow, Koda appeared. Despite his fear and hurt, the little cub couldn't let Kenai die. Koda rushed forward, grabbing Denahi's spear. In that moment of chaos, Kenai threw himself over Koda to protect him, willing to give his own life for the cub he had orphaned. This act of pure, selfless love triggered the spirits. The northern lights descended, bathing the mountain in a brilliant glow. Sitka's spirit emerged from the wind, shifting Kenai back into his human form. Denahi dropped his spear in shock, realizing the bear he had been hunting was his own brother. The reunion was bittersweet. Sitka stood before them, a silent guardian of the bridge between worlds. Kenai looked at Denahi, then looked down at Koda, who was shivering and alone. Kenai realized that if he remained a man, Koda would have no one. The cub needed a brother more than the tribe needed a hunter. "I'm staying," Kenai whispered to Denahi. With Sitka's blessing, Kenai chose to return to his bear form. He hugged Denahi one last time, promising they would always be family. Kenai, now a bear forever, took Koda into his arms. He had finally learned the meaning of his totem. He had found his manhood not through the spear, but through the courage to love and the strength to forgive. And so the story of the three brothers became a legend, a reminder that we are all brothers under the Great Spirits.